Good morning. This week's blog dealt with the issue of China's rise in military power. On Monday, the Department of Defense released its annual report on the ways in which different economies around the world, different countries around the world, are developing militarily. Ever since 1989, every year that report has been released, the Department of Defense has basically taken the stance that China is a growing threat. And we need to look at what's actually going on there and really take stock of how deep this threat is actually for the United States and for the global economy. That idea or that rhetoric was heightened in 1999 with the Cox Report, which was an incredibly hawkish report about China's growth in military power. I actually wrote about this issue in my 2006 and 2009 books, China and Globalization. And it seems to me that this approach to thinking about China is very dangerous, but it's also simplistic and in some ways just wrong. And here are the reasons why. The first issue is that it is true that China's investment in military has been growing, but it has always been the case, at least for the last 2 decades, that China's military expenditures have been at about 8% of GDP. So of course, if you look at the straight numbers, it looks like China's growth in military is rising dramatically, but that's because China's economy has been growing, and with an investment in military of 8% of GDP, if your economy goes up, you then have a growing military investment. So if you look at the line, it looks dramatic this way, but if you look at the investment as a percentage of GDP, it's quite stable. The second issue, which I think is interesting here, is that the U.S. investment in military as a percentage of GDP, even in peace times, is at about 16%, which is double that of China's. So I don't think we have any argument that China is out of whack with what the growing powers of the global economy are. And the third issue is just let's think about orders of magnitude. China's investment in military is about 30 to 40 billion a year. That's compared to about 300 to 350 billion a year on the U.S. side, and that's a conservative estimate, again, in peace times. So it's just sort of an odd thing that we are so concerned with China's growth in military and investment in its military when there is an order of magnitude difference between China's investment in the military and the U.S. by about a factor of 10. So to me, all of these things just point to the issue that we need to be very careful with these statistics, but more to the point, I think we need to ask the question of why it is that we're so concerned with the growth of China's military when we are the country in the world that seems to rattle the saber the loudest, if you would. So that was the blog for this week, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to read more, check out the Dean's blog on the George Washington University School of Business page. Thanks. Bye-bye.